Memory items for Airbus A320 Windshear. You may find the core of the memory items in the Flight Crew Operational Manual, FCOM, section Abnormal and Emergency Procedures, Survival section, Windshear Warning. For more expandable information, you may refer to Flight Crew Techniques Manual, FCTM, Supplementary Procedures, Adverse Weather, Windshear. One of many wind shear definitions says it is a sudden change in wind velocity and/or direction over a short distance. Airbus says, it can occur in all directions, but for convenience, it is considered along the vertical and horizontal axis, thus introducing the concepts of vertical and horizontal wind shear. Microburst. A microburst makes the most dangerous form of wind shear. It has a record of a column wide, usually less than 2.5 nautical miles full of intense sinking air, which descends to the ground. That air is sinking upon contact with the Earth's surface, diverges outwards in all directions. It is capable of producing powerful winds near ground level. Typical characteristics of microburst: size, covers an area less than 2.5 nautical miles in diameter, intensity, downdrafts are 40 knots, 4,000 feet per minute, horizontal winds between 45 and 100 knots, duration, approximately 15 minutes. Visual signs, often associated with heavy thunderstorms, embedded in heavy rain. From a safety perspective, microburst appearing close to an airport and incredibly close to an arrival direction is a natural and hazardous phenomenon. Let us describe what would probably happen if an airliner encounters a microburst in the vicinity of an airfield on an approach path. Headwind. At first, pilots would notice a performance-enhancing headwind gust, which instantaneously increases the aircraft airspeed, thus causing lift and the aircraft to rise above its intended path and/or accelerate. To descend the aircraft back on its descent path and decrease speed, the pilot will naturally retard the engine's thrust and push the side stick, forcing the aircraft to descend. Downdraft. At the second, as the aircraft continues into the microburst, it meets a sudden surge of downdraft affecting both the aircraft flight path and then the angle of attack, AOA. The aircraft will sink, and the AOA will increase. Now traveling at a lower speed and pushed downwards, the pilot will attempt to regain the original trajectory by initiating a climb. Tailwind. At the third, the pilot attempts to climb to recover their altitude. The aircraft now experiences a change in wind direction and encounters a tailwind. The tailwind gust instantaneously decreases the aircraft lift and airspeed, and thus, it tends to make the aircraft fly below its intended path and/or decelerate. A microburst is a serious threat to flight because of its direct and aggressive impact on the aircraft airspeed, altitude, angle of attack and thus, lift capability. A wind shear warning memory items checklist says, if wind shear is detected, both primary flight displays, PFDs, display wind shear message. An associated oral wind shear alert sounds 3 times. In such a case, or if the crew detects wind shear by other means and/or indications, they have to apply recovery technique, which is divided into, at takeoff, section, with subsection, before V1, and, after V1, or, airborne, initial climb or landing, section. If wind shear is detected at takeoff, before V1, and there are significant variations in airspeed and airspeed trend below the indicated V1, reject the takeoff. Note: if wind shear occurs during the takeoff roll, the aircraft may reach V1 later, or sooner, than expected. The flight crew should ensure sufficient runway remaining to stop the aircraft, if necessary. If wind shear is detected at takeoff, after V1, thrust levers. Toga. Reaching VR. Rotate. SRS orders. Follow. Note: if necessary, the flight crew may pull the sidestick fully back. If the FD bars are not displayed, move toward an initial pitch attitude of 17.5 degrees. Then, if necessary, to prevent a loss in altitude, increase the pitch attitude. If wind shear is detected at airborne, initial climb or landing. Thrust levers at toga. Set OR confirm. AP, if engaged. Keep on. SRS orders. Follow. Note: if necessary, the flight crew may pull the sidestick fully back. Autopilot disengages if the angle of attack value goes above alpha protection. If the FD bars are not displayed, move toward an initial pitch attitude of 17.5 degrees. Then, if necessary, to prevent a loss in altitude, increase the pitch attitude. Do not change configuration, slats, flaps, gear, until out of wind shear. Closely monitor flight path and speed. Recover smoothly to normal climb out of wind shear. At takeoff. If before V1, reject takeoff. If after V1, thrust levers. Toga. Reaching VR. Rotate. SRS orders. Follow. Airborne, initial climb or landing. Thrust levers at toga. Set or confirm. Autopilot, if engaged. Keep on. SRS orders. Follow. Wish you never need this procedure anywhere else than at the simulator lesson.